welcome back to my channel. My name is Shamika and this is Check the Rhymes. I am super excited that you're here. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all, for Black History Month, that's this month if you weren't aware, the Smithsonian Channel is introducing a new docuseries called 1,000 Years of Slavery, The Untold Story, and it's executive produced by Angela Bassett and her husband, Courtney B. Vance. And so I'm super excited because in the house today, I have veteran TV host, news anchor, and ninth generation descendant of Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings, Shannon Lanier, and he appears in the docuseries. And that docuseries kicks off on Monday, February 7th at 8 o'clock. Again, that's on the Smithsonian Channel. So let's get into today's interview. Stay tuned. Hi, Shannon. Welcome to Check the Rhymes.
Oh, what's up, Shamika? I like that title. Check the Rhymes. I'm already excited. That sounds hip and cool. So look, maybe the young folks will think I'm hip and cool if I'm on here.
Well, here's the tea. My last name is actually Rhymes, so it just kind of was a perfect last name to go with the title.
Right? I like that. Are you any relation to Shonda? Look.
I wish, but it's spelled completely different. It's more like I'd be related to Busta Rhymes if that was his real name.
Well, I'll take either one of them, right?
Exactly. So I'm super hyped to talk to you because there's so many things I want to talk about today. But first, we're going to start with 1,000 Years of Slavery, The Untold Story on the Smithsonian Channel. So how did you get involved in this project?
Well, I am the sixth great-grandson of President Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings, and seeing how they are taking a global perspective about slavery, you can't talk about that without talking about the impact and the magnitude that Jefferson played, and not only being, the President of the United States, but also writing those words, all men are created equal, and then going to France, seeing how they had people equal there, but yet he chose to still go ahead and have slaves on his plantation even after learning that it was wrong there and knowing it in his mind that it was wrong. We all know this. And so I was brought in to learn more about that story. I co-wrote the book along with Jane Feldman called Jefferson's Children, the Story of One American Family. So I knew a lot about my family. I knew a lot about our story, but the impact that the story had on the global the global picture and everything that was involved in that was something that was enlightening to me. And then just take a part of this and watch the series, and I'm just like blown away with all the information that I'm learning that I never knew. I took Black Studies courses in school. I studied African history and all these things, and I'm like, I did not know all of these stories. So I always tell people, even if you think you know a little something, watch this series and you will be blown away.
Wow. So as I was prepping for this interview, it reminded me like, wait, I did a documentary in grad school. Well, the first time I went to grad school, because, sometimes it takes some people a little longer, but the first time I went to grad school about the Underground Railroad running through East Tennessee. And during that time, and I'm just wondering if any of this info will be in this docuseries, I found that there were, well, of course, this was like 2003, 2004, that there were still some safe houses that were still standing in East Tennessee. And I even got to go down in one of the tunnels, which freaked me out. But I wondered if, and some of the etchings on the walls and down there where the slaves had like marked, just maybe trying to keep track of what day it was, or I don't remember exactly what those markings meant, but I just wondered if some of those little symbols and things, like even the quilts hanging out on the porch, or whatever that signified this is a safe house. Do you know if any of those type of things will be in this docuseries?
Yeah, you really learn about all aspects of slavery, especially when you talk about the Underground Railroad, that being, safe houses here in the United States that were established to help people get to freedom. They were not real railroads, everyone, just to make that clear. But some people think so. But you learn about some of those things and some of the things that people did as slaves to try to come together in unity. And for example, they talk about in the first episode, you'll hear how they had plotted and these slaves were living in bondage and they had uprisings and they fought back together, and how the slave, there was one guy who would go around to all these different plantations as one of the slave helpers to tell everybody, hey, this is what's going down, this is what's going to happen. And, you know, that's a form of the Underground Railroad, to go to these places, to know where to go, to know how to have these private conversations with people, to say, this is when it's going down, we're going to revolt. But then, you know, they also go a little deeper in this and tell you what happened to those revolts that did not work, and then the ones that did work. And so that was eye-opening. I didn't even know about half of those revolts that they talked about, and that the horrible things and the punishment that was done to those who were caught uprising. And I was just like shocked. But it's not all doom and gloom. You know, there's a lot of positive things that come out of this. I know people say, oh, they're talking about slavery, they're going to beat us over the head with this thing and make us feel sorry for them. No, it's about educating yourselves. It's about, you know, enlightening your mind to something that you may not have known. And there's a lot of strength and pride that can come out of this too, and learning about these people. And it's like, wow, that's my family. Wow, those are my people. They went through the blood, the sweat, and the tears of the most horrific experience possible, and they survived. You know, so for me, that gives me pride in my family and my people and what they were able to overcome. And
Absolutely.
Also, somebody asked me, you know, is it just for black people? No, this is a documentary for all people, because, you know, those who were helping the black people and people that were enslaved a lot of times were white people. And, you know, you had these freedom riders and the people that were fighting for equality and justice. Those are people of all races that were able to help. And it's not just the U.S. That's why it's 1,000 years of slavery, because it talks about the entire globe, from Africa to the Caribbean, from New Orleans to Istanbul, from, you know, white slavery in Europe. All that is covered in here. So it could be something for everyone to learn.
Well, because that actually, when you were mentioning that, you know, that it's not all gloom and doom, because I've seen even yesterday that people on social media are like, why is it we're always celebrating, or not celebrating, but like, even with streaming services, they're like, it's always black voices, like, you know, they're the categories, and then it's like all the traumatic type of black experiences or whatever. So what do you say to the people that are saying, like, you know, why tell this story if there's so much trauma still that goes with that?
Because we cannot move past it until we address it. A lot of times people want us to forget slavery. It was millions of years ago. Actually, it wasn't. But we cannot begin to heal until we first acknowledge that it happened. We have to have these tough conversations so we can move to the other side of healing and reconciliation. And that's what this help does do. It helps us start the conversation. It acts as a catalyst to have deeper conversations with our family, with our loved ones, with, you know, understanding and teaching our children the impact of slavery and where we come from and why we're in the United States, and so much more. And again, we live in the United States, so I keep going back to that, but it goes so much deeper than just slavery here in the U.S. And that's one of the things that's enlightening to a lot of people, and to actually educate people that it's not just here, and where it began, and why it started, and how it started, and the different types of slavery that there were. So it's important to talk about, because it's our history. We got to learn from the past to move forward, you know, to a brighter future. And this will help us do that, so we don't continue to just repeat the past.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for my last question, and just because I just finished writing a thing about like 30 Black history facts that I really honestly, during the research, I'm like, I didn't know this. So I'm just wondering, what is one of your favorite Black history facts to like tell people about?
Well, I guess people are always shocked when I tell them I'm a descendant of Thomas Jefferson. that would be one. Sometimes I just like to see people's reaction, and they're like, "Wait, what?" And they're like, "Yeah, he had black kids." Yeah, so that's always interesting to just get that perspective, you know, from people. But I also love teaching my kids about all the Black inventors that we've had. You know, Black inventors, people to help, you know, create the stoplight and create, you know, open heart surgery and the transplants and different things like that. I love hearing about different inventors, because it's like, wow, we did that, we accomplished that, right. And we continue to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I wish we could talk more, Shannon. 1,000 Years of Slavery, The Untold Story premieres on Monday, February 7th at 8 o'clock on the Smithsonian Channel. Thank you again for joining me today on Check the Rhymes.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.